All right, Larry Krueger here at Levi's after 49er practice here on Wednesday. Kyle Shanahan talked to us before practice and had a number of interesting things to say. And then I went inside the locker room before practice and talked to Ray McLeod about his incredible block that helped CMC score a touchdown. Talked to Fred Warner a little bit about how Javon Kinlaw absorbed blockers on that first smackdown that he had in the first series against Najee Harris. Talked to Jake Moody about his perfect day, his first day in the NFL. And we also talked a little bit to Javon Hargrave about his first day in a 49er uniform and how cool it was to hear all the Niner fans chirping, let's go Niners late in the fourth quarter. So look for those interviews coming up on YouTube. But let's talk a little bit about the day down here in Santa Clara and what stood out today about the Kyle Shanahan presser, and then we'll get to practice. Kyle talked to us before practice, and he started off by telling us that, they came out pretty unscathed as far as injury-wise in the first game. They didn't have a lot of injuries. The big injury, if there was one, was Dre Greenlaw wasn't practicing today. He had a sore groin. We did see Dre running on the sideline. I don't think it's much there. I just think Dre Greenlaw is one of those guys at this point, he's a game day guy, and you're going to let him kind of call his shots during the week, especially in season, on how he's feeling. And, he didn't play today because of a sore groin, but if there was a game today, something tells me he would have been out there. So I don't think it was that significant. He was running full wind sprints on the side field, so I don't think it's anything to worry about. I'm pretty confident that Greenlaw, barring any kind of a setback, will go in LA at SoFi on Sunday against the Rams. One of the criticisms of Kyle in the first game was, when you win 30-7, people have to nitpick, right? And so one of the questions is like, hey, did you get your guys off the field fast enough? Why was CMC in there in the fourth quarter? Why was Bosa in there late? Why was Hargrave in there late? You've got money on the field and so on and so forth. And Kyle talked today a little bit about his philosophy on how they like to get the guys off the field as fast as possible. But it's pretty clear when he starts talking about it that Shanahan, to some degree, is haunted by the Week 1 game against the Lions. Was it 2 years ago when the Niners led 41-17 late in the fourth quarter, and basically, it was a 7-point game at the end with the Lions like 20 yards away from scoring to tie the game. So anything can happen. What you don't want to do in the NFL or in football period is you don't want guys to, call it off, start taking off their tape, taking off their jersey, winding it down, and then being like, oh, no, go, you got to go again, you got to go again. So you want to wait and be as conservative as possible. You don't want to end the game for your star players before the game's over. But I think in hindsight, he probably would have liked to have gotten Elijah Mitchell a few more carries and maybe some of his backup D linemen, a few more plays, so on and so forth. But it's pretty clear that when you're up 30-7 in the fourth quarter, there's a lot of debate on the headsets between the coaches and Kyle and everybody who's on those headsets of when's the right time to pull the plug on your guys. It's easy if it's a close one-score game, but if it's a 30-7 game, it's a lot more complicated, and there's a lot that goes into it. So, once again, if they didn't have that game where they were up 41-17 2 years ago in Week 1 against Detroit, they probably leave their players out on the field and and probably take their players off the field, I should say, and get to their backups. But because they have that fresh in the mind, they probably left those guys out there a little bit longer than they wanted to. He was asked about the way they split up the slot corner. It was Demo Lenore in the first half and Isaiah Oliver in the second half. And Kyle said, hey, go watch the film and you can see what happened. I'm not sure if it was the injury to Freiermuth or because they did go to the bigger rookie tight end. And we've heard, Steve Wilks say many times that against the smaller, shiftier guys in the slot, and he's going to go with Demo. He's going to go with Demo Lenore, and against the bigger guys in the slot, he's going to move Lenore outside, take Ambry off the field, and go with Isaiah Oliver. And I wonder how much of that was predicated on the big rookie tight end that was in there late in the game. But he said, go watch the film, and you can see for yourself why they went from Lenore to Oliver in the second half. So I've got that on my to-do list. He was asked about Brock Purdy's mobility, and Brock Purdy had a beautiful 17-yard run to ice the game late in the fourth quarter. And was Kyle surprised by his mobility? He said no. He ran in college at Iowa State. There were several examples of that, of him running in college, and so he says he's not in any way surprised by the mobility. I think Lynch has said in the past that he is a little bit surprised by Brock's incredible escape ability. So I think they knew they had a mobile quarterback, but when you look at that 1.54 10-yard split, that's an elite time. I mean, to put it in context, Tyreek Hill, who's probably the quickest guy in the entire league, has a 1.50 10-yard split, and Purdy's is 1.54. So I think it's safe to say that both Kyle and John are surprised by Brock's incredible, spurting ability as far as escape ability. But as far as his just ability to be mobile, they saw that at Iowa State. Kyle was also asked during the presser, does he need to kind of bring everybody back down to earth after a game like that where you win decisively? And he quickly pointed to how, there were many moments in the game that were not great and that the tape revealed that they have some issues. They had late second quarter breakdowns that they felt like they could improve upon. There was weaknesses in all four quarters of the game that they felt like, or at least Kyle felt like, could be used as teaching moments. So, how do you bring your guys back to earth? You show them the film and you're honest with them. And if they're, accountable, they're going to want to get better. So it's, every time you see a big score, doesn't mean guys are walking around going, our shit doesn't stink and we're incredible and we're unbeatable. A lot of times it's about the attitude that the coaches take when it comes time for the criticism during the film session that really kind of puts a team in the frame of mind that they're in going into the next game. And it sounds like even though the Niners won big, that their frame of mind is still grounded because they did enough bad things in Kyle's mind or things that they could do better on throughout the game to not make them overly glowing of their performance. I asked him about Ray Ray's incredible block and if Ray got the game ball, and I asked Kyle, I said, hey man, you played wide receiver at Texas. You ever hustle on the back end of a running play and run 70 yards down the field to lay a block for said Benson? And he laughed and he's like, hey, I don't think I had that kind of speed, and nor did Benson have that kind of speed. But they loved the Ayuk and Ray blocking downfield. They didn't give either guy a game ball because that's what they expect, but that was an exceptional effort by Ray McLeod. It was awesome by Ray. It was awesome by Ayuk. It was pure hustle. It revealed kind of the culture of the 49ers right now, which is to be selfless and to be a good team player. And, they have a saying here for the running backs and the wide receivers, no block, no rock. And those guys blocked the hell out of Pittsburgh on that play. It was really something to see. So you could tell how happy he was about the play, but also revealed that it did not achieve a game ball for either guy. He was asked about Deommodore Lenoir and said that Lenoir had a solid first game, both inside and outside. He really liked what he saw there. He said that he wasn't as thrilled with Talanoa Hufanga's lateral. He said it wasn't great. First of all, it wasn't a lateral. Second of all, he felt like Hufanga himself could have beaten the guy just by running by him, and he didn't need to flip it to Tayshaun Gibson. You could see that he didn't want to be too negative, but at the same time, it wasn't a good play. He was asked about Sean McVay, and he's got nothing but respect for McVay, despite the fact that he owns him. And he's had a lot of success head-to-head against McVay. Of course, McVay won the one that mattered, right, in the NFC Championship game. But he was asked about what are the traits of a Sean McVay-led team, and he said, well, first of all, they've got Aaron Donald. And if you have Aaron Donald, that, puts you in your own category. But he just said the Rams are really coached well on both sides of the ball. He said that Stafford really looked fantastic on the quarterback down, which was third down. I mean, that was really what happened in this last game between Seattle and the Rams. The Rams committed to the run. They had 40 runs. They didn't run it all that effectively. I think it was about less than 3 yards a carry. But they got into manageable third downs, and Stafford kept finding Puka Nacua, the rookie receiver out of BYU, who Kyle says kind of reminds him of Jawan Jennings, and Tutu Atwell. and Atwell is one of the league's most preeminent burners. Atwell runs a legit 4.3, and he may actually play faster than that. That was his 40 time coming out, 4.3. But, I mean, if you watch this guy, Tutu Atwell, whose dad also played football in college at University of Minnesota, his dad was a burner, and he's even more of a burner. He's slight, though. He's about 165 pounds. So if you can detonate on Tutu Atwell, it's probably game over or maybe even season over for Atwell. But you got to respect that speed. You got to respect that speed at coming out of the slot. He's amazing. And then Nakua is the kind of guy that loves to play and knows how to play. And he's a rookie, but as Kyle said, the moment's not too big for him, and he's making big catch after big catch after big catch. So that was kind of the good and the bad from the locker room recap. Then the team went out to practice. Good vibe at practice. Brock Purdy did all the regular throwing that Darnold and Allen did. Greenlaw was on the side running. The team was in good spirits from what I saw, and they're out there now finishing up practice. So that does it for our 49er practice locker room recap, Kyle Shanahan presser recap as well. Hope you enjoyed it. And thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in both spots from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.